Hello, everyone. We are here for our podcast, Customer Support in a Digital Age. And we're going to largely cover uh, what does customer support look like, especially in the world of AI, in the world of digital, and how has customer support transformed in the last 10 years. And I have Mike Mcgee, who's the director of customer support at Mugsy Jeans, and we and he's going to talk about his experiences, especially leading customer support at Mugsy. I'm going to let Mike introduce himself and how did his journey take him to where he is today, and what's his vision for CX at Mugsy.
Sachin, thanks so much for having me. My name is Mike Mcgee. I'm the director of experience at Mugsy. At Mugsy, we make damn comfortable and insanely good looking clothes for guys who want to make the most out of their lives. And we specialize in stretchy jeans, which you can see behind me. We've got all types of colors and chinos and shorts. And we really try to think about ourselves not just from a product perspective and a brand perspective, but from a customer lens and how customers are perceiving us, what stories we're telling them, and then how are we serving them as they come to us. And that's been hugely beneficial, Sachin, to talk with you and your team to understand what we can do in a digital way to build relationships with our customers. I think for us, we're digitally native, so we're meeting customers online and we're meeting them in a lot of different channels through social media, through TV, through YouTube, and being able to form a relationship and help them understand us, but also learn from our customers has been huge from my perspective within the brand.
Got it. Awesome. Thanks a lot for that introduction, Mike.
Yeah.
And to complete the round of introduction, I'm Sachin. I lead Kim.cc. We are on a mission to help make great customer service accessible to all businesses. So we're going to jump right into the topic. Especially, we'll start with embracing omni-channel support. Right? We have seen customers in today's age. They are present across all different types of channel. What are the channels that you have experimented with, and what has been your experience? What are the challenges that you see, and so on and so forth?
Sure. Email is our main channel. We have a lot of marketing that goes through email, and just because of order management, it's one of the easiest ways to meet customers where they are. And we try to take that ethos that where our customers are is where we want to serve them from a customer service lens. So, social media, we have all our channels there. We have text, which is an easy way to communicate with people on their phones very quickly. Email has been the main driver, and we're starting to experiment more with chat. Chat has been an area that we have wanted to gain more share of customer experiences in, and we're just trying to figure out how much time are people spending actually on our site versus how much can we self-service those customers on chat on the website in a different way than it is with people that are live. But email, social media, SMS are the main drivers, and then trying to meet them where they are. So as more channels come up, we're open and willing to experiment to figure out how we can meet our customers.
Sounds great. So, Mike, I just wanted to double click on this. So, you mentioned email, chat, and SMS.
Yeah.
Um, so, I'm curious, phone has not taken center stage so far.
Yeah. Yeah. For us, phone is a lot more time consuming because you're, kind of have to be on a call and aware of what's going on. You can't really multitask. Whereas I feel like I can fire off emails all day and really focus on what I need to do, get to the next thing. But when you're in a live conversation like we are now, there's a lot more that goes into that. And there's a lot more focus that if you miss that because you're focusing on something else, it kind of, you just have to focus so much more. And I think as customers are evolving, as generations are growing up, there's less conversations being had in an audio way and more, hey, I can send a quick text and I can get the information I need. Or there's a lot more from what we see self-service demand for, like, hey, I just need an answer. I need to figure out how to do this. I can do it on my own because I'm tech savvy and I can figure out the internet or a website or a portal. And they're not always looking for that one-to-one conversation. We do have some people that ask to call us, and we try to make special arrangements for that to happen. But from what we've seen, for a very brief period of time, we had a live phone conversations, and it just took up a lot of time. So I do feel like with AI, with new technologies, with people advancing their abilities within technologies, that the desire to speak to a customer service representative on a phone is less and less likely. And I think people are just not that willing to jump on the phone with someone for a pair of jeans. They'd rather just be like, hey, I'll shoot you a text or an email to get the answer I need. Conversations on the phone just don't feel like they are as relevant as they once were.
Got it. Got it. And I kind of agree with that. I think, especially when we speak with most e-commerce brands, the digital native ones, they usually don't have phone call support, and it has been less than 5% of the cases where we saw some degree of phone call, and that too, the volumes were pretty low on phone calls. And I think it ties back to an efficiency from a customer service perspective, and also from a customers itself, like even their customer behavior is such that they don't prefer
Yeah.
to be on phone, because it's also like a lot more time consuming for them, and it requires a very active communication versus with a chat or an email. It can be async, and it just frees up a lot of their time, and they can keep doing something else. So that's a behavior that we've seen in the young and digital native user as well.
Mhm.
This is a surprising part. Um, Even then, more than close to about 65 to 70% of all customer support today is still on phone.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's in some ways sad that the lack of personalized communication and tone of voice is getting lost within all the digital communication. I mean, I feel like there's so many relationships that can be formed, and you can understand tone, and there's not a lot of that you can figure out via an email. Like somebody might be upset or super happy to email you,
yeah,
and you never get the opportunity to discuss what they're doing, hear a tone of voice to understand how much care you want to put into a customer. And something that we did earlier this year was interview about 100 customers that had purchased with us a number of times or only a few times to really understand, like, what do you want to get from us as a brand. And those were some of the most insightful conversations we've had. It helped us to understand from both a customer service perspective how people want to be met, where they want to meet us, and what issues we have with our experience, our website, our shipping, whatever. Marketing wise, how have they found us, and what has kept them within the brand? Product wise, what do they like about us? And you don't get that from a post purchase survey or any sort of feedback that isn't verbal. I mean, we really got to see what customers loved about us and why they love the brand, how they feel about our clothing. And that for us is way more insightful than a couple emails, reviews that go on our website. You just get more feedback from, again, tone of voice, body language, seeing really what the people look like, how they talk about us. It's unfortunate that we don't have as much of that connectivity, but from an efficiency perspective, I think of customer service as like art and science with AI, but also like building relationships. Um, it's important that we are efficient and get people what they need and answer quickly, taking up as much space as customers will allow for us in our lives. But we don't also get to build on that and invite people into the brand more, outside of different marketing channels that we have that can show off our brand, but we don't really get to hear from customers in that same way.
yeah. I mean, that I agree with that. I think phone call does build relationships, deeper relationships, but I think so. What we see today, phone calls are largely present across more older types of
Sure.
businesses like banks,
Yeah.
etc.
Hmm.
Because like their customers are largely senior citizens, and
Yep.
who are not very tech savvy, and they prefer the older forms of communication, and they just don't have an option.
Yeah.
And I think uh, the percentage uh, of senior citizens is only going to grow.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
But maybe as the technology evolves, we may not see the same degree of adoption as we see today. Like today, the younger generation, they adopted chat, they adopted email communication for customer service. But the older generation, but as they grow old, I don't think they will actually evolve into the newer forms of communication that will come. And I'm pretty sure that we will see video support in some time. That we will see, support on VR channels at some point.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that the most of the generations like us will actually evolve into into those channels. But
Sure.
the other thing that I also wanted to touch upon, Mike, is if you were to compare between chat and SMS, what do you think has better customer adoption?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. I think from what we've seen, SMS is a way bigger adoption rate than chat. And I think where chat exists for us is on our website, within a widget that's at the bottom of the screen. We have about 80% of our traffic that comes via a phone. So you only have so much real estate to then be able to show your experience, show your product, and then also give space for a chat. Um, from what we saw, customers were not spending that much time on the site to submit a question and wait for that question to be answered. And as we're trying to staff up and make sure that we've got the capabilities, we just weren't fast enough to be able to get to somebody on chat. That then we weren't emailing them or waiting for them to come back to us on their screen on a mobile device or a website browser. So SMS, the stats are that 99 or so percent of text messages are read and then respond or some version of a response. So the likelihood that somebody gets a text from us or they text us to get an answer and we can respond to them within 30 to 45 minutes and then they engage back with us, I think that's just where people are more comfortable living than I'm on a website and that's a barrier. Now I'm on a chat that's in a website and that's a barrier. And the ability to get feedback quickly from our live agents is just harder. What we're looking to do in the future is build out self-service tools within chat so that somebody can come to the website, look at a list of 5 different options that are flows or AI generated and say, this is how you can interact with us. If you need to do a return or exchange, here you go. Here's the link. If you need to understand your sizing, if you need to understand when products are coming back in stock, or hey, where's my order? How do I manage my order? I just submitted something and I realized I put the wrong address. You can do all of that within the chat that's built right into the website. And we don't have to rely on the bandwidth of our team to answer a lot of those questions that self-service and AI can help us with. But within text messages, you can build a little bit more of a conversation. It's a little bit less formal than an email, and I think that's where we've been able to learn a lot about our customers and like how they want to be served, what they're saying in text, and how we can then read that tonality, but also brevity to give the best outcome and make sure that they're experiencing us in a way that feels like, I mean, when you're texting people, it's like a friendship, it's a relationship. And if we can build that and Mugsy's texting a customer, like we feel like that's a good thing versus email. It's a little more formal. It's a little more professional and guarded. Probably not feeling the same way if you're texting versus emailing. So I definitely think that SMS is a primary connector between customers and brands. And you can also look at chat as like social media because people are probably on social media and messaging people in the same way as they are using their text messaging. So we try to look at those two as one and the same. But again, not everybody's on Facebook or Instagram. Most people have a phone and they're willing to text us, and that's where we want to meet customers.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, and I also believe that the issue with, I think the definitely if you're using chat, it is super important to have self-service tools, including AI. But the issue with with chat is that customer query gets left unanswered,
Yes. Yep.
because it's just impossible to have an agent live all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and answer within 30 seconds of a customer sending the message. And that's where AI can be helpful. But if you don't, then the customer leaves the website and
Yep.
they're just gone.
Exactly.
Versus with the SMS, I think it is more. The communication can be async,
Yep.
and they have just sent a message, and they don't have to worry about dropping off the SMS, because even if you respond after like 2 hours, they still get the message. Versus in the website, that does not happen. The communication breaks.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree.
Yeah. All right. So we will move to the next topic that we wanted to cover, which is personalization in digital support, right? Would love to understand, like, what ways do you think businesses can leverage customer data and tech today to personalize support interactions? And how do you think about that at Mugsy?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, every customer that comes in has a different story. They have a different profile. They've purchased items or they haven't. And being able to understand not just what that interaction has, what they're looking for, but what previous interactions have they had with us? Are they good or bad? Um, it's really important, I think, because as we have conversations in our day to day lives, you can understand where someone's coming from, what their body language looks like how they, you can just take that in and be able to then give the best response if somebody, especially, is looking for help. So we try to take that lens and understand, like, how much have they purchased with us? Have they ever purchased with us before? What's their LTV? How many returns have they done with us? What's their CSAT on different tickets that they've answered with us, to understand, have they had a bad experience, have they had a good experience. And we try to strive to give the customer the best possible experience, to make sure we're doing right by our customers, and our policies kind of reflect that. So I think from a personalization perspective, it's the more of the art. You want to make sure that your agents, people that are talking to your customers, are really thinking about, I don't want to just get through this ticket and make sure I'm churning through, but taking time to take care of those customers. And we hired somebody a couple years ago that had a background with Disney, and I think they have, if you've ever been to Disney World or been to some of their stores, they have such a different way of approaching their, they call them guests, and they think about the customer in a way that is different than a lot of other people. And I think we've really benefited from that mindset as our lead for customer service, to then say, hey, I want to talk to this person because they made me feel a certain way. And that only happens if you know something about that person, if you can take the time to get to know that person. And tools like Gorgeous and other platforms, Kim has been another one, where we can see, where is that customer coming from, how do they meet us, and there's the science to it of how quickly can we consume what that person is about, and then answer their question, build a relationship, and not take so much time to say, all right, this is the person, and I got to go through all these steps and then I can start to talk to them. It's got to be quick. So I think that's where, with new technologies and AI, the, like, art and science of customer service can really come to life, where I have agents that are in our systems being able to quickly recognize who the customer is, how quickly we want to get back to that customer based on the channel that they're coming from, and then how do we give them the best experience, whether they've had a bad experience with shipping or product, or hopefully most of the time it's a great experience and they just want more information from us. um, and I think as tools are evolving, we're getting better and better at being personal way faster.
Got it. Thanks for answering that, Mike. I'd love to touch upon self-service.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think? Which self-service options are the most effective, and how have you thought about deploying self-service at Mugsy?
Yeah, I think, where's my order, returns and exchanges, and then pre-sale questions about product or fit are probably the four big areas that I would focus, or that I focus on self-service. And I think there's a lot more complex problems when a package gets lost, or you want to make sure you're being taken care of, and that's, I think, where our agents are able to come in and make a bad situation good. But the returns and exchanges and the tools that we have to be able to make somebody get into that system very quickly and get out of it what they want, which is a return or exchange, that's an area where I think, we have links. We want to encourage people to get the right product at the right time, so that they're not, dissatisfied with our brand. We have insanely stretchy jeans, and a lot of times customers will think that that fits a certain way, and we try to guide them in the pre-purchase experience so that they know what size to buy. But inevitably, preferences are different across different customer body types, and some people just like clothes to fit a certain way. So we want to make sure that the return and exchange process is very easy and visible, but also there's the Amazons of the world, and the ease of the returns and exchanges that come at a cost, that can make it so that customers are just churning through returns and exchanges. So it's a balance between how do we make sure that they know where to go and how to get to a return or exchange. Um, but it doesn't also take so much time for our agents to get a question, have a backlog in the queue, and it takes an hour or so to get to that question when it's like, hey, here's an easy exchange and returns link. Go to this, put in your order number and your zip code, and there you go. You're off and you can build your new order. So I think returns is easy. Um, Within our website, as well as just the general e-commerce landscape, I think customers are looking to understand what you're selling and how it works, how it fits, what it looks like faster. So there's not always the same level of time spent to read product details, or what does this product look like and how does it fit. And I think as customers are looking for that, we try to put it within a product page, but also having self-service tools to say, hey, I want to ask, how does this fit and what size should I buy based off of my sizing and my history within purchasing. So we try to build tools there so that as they're going through the process, there's a little chat bot that can say, hey, this is how our product fits. This is the typical sizing. If you wear this size in one brand, then it should be the same for us. But just giving the confidence there that it doesn't need a live agent to be able to tell them how to buy and what to buy. And then lastly, orders and tracking, Wismo. I think there's a lot of tools that, just like you would do with any other package, you can check your tracking and you can get to that tracking link. And sometimes there's so many emails flying around between marketing emails and delivery status emails that some customers sort of get lost. And we're trying to improve that experience, but making sure that they have the ability to say, hey, I want to know where this product is. They can go and track it. They can see the status. They can see if it's lost. They can change an order if they decide, I don't want that, or this didn't, this address was wrong, or I used the wrong credit card. We see those all the time, and those are very time sensitive things that we want to make sure that we change before the order executes, or the warehouse doesn't start to package and ship that product before a customer wants to change their order. So those are tools that I think make the most sense to have some self-service options. And I think just in general, with the growth in technology and different generations that want to help themselves and don't feel like they need someone to help them, we want to be able to meet customers where they are and what they want. So providing that service, just like, hey, help yourself. Here's all the options. Let us know if you need more information, but here it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times customers do want the answer to be resolved quickly,
Yeah.
and self-service comes in very handy. Especially, for example, if I want to give a delivery instruction to the delivery partner, I don't need to go through 10 hops.
Yep.
And if you just tell me how to do it, I'll do it.
Easy.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the next uh, piece, which is AI. And this is probably one of the beasts that everyone is talking about today, especially in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
This is the buzz everywhere. Um, but as the head of customer support in a brand, how do you see AI, and what do you see are the possibilities, and what are the challenges?
I think I go back to this art and science, and you blend the relationships that you want to build with customers that then can be relayed back to, I think about our head of customer service that then talks to our product leads that are building all the different types of products now and in the future. And how do we close that loop of like, hey, these are getting returned more, or customers are writing in that they're having this problem, or they really like this product. Like, how do you close that loop? I don't see yet how AI can start to build some of those things with the tools that I have at my disposal. But going back to the science, I think customers want to know what's going on with their orders. They want to know answers. We've talked about this very quickly. AI can do that. And I think with language models that can be trained based on your tone of voice, based on your marketing speak, based on even our customers and our agents that have the highest CSAT scores, like how do we make replicate them in a way that can answer tickets between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. when we're sleeping here on the East Coast. That is really cool to think about, not just on the day to day, but as we're scaling as a brand and we're growing our sales, we have to basically grow our headcount or grow our workforce to be able to support more and more tickets. And if we can use language models to understand how we want to speak to customers if we can train those language models to speak to our customers the same way that our customer service leads are going to speak to customers during the day when they are working, then that's a huge opportunity in Q4 specifically, where we see, like many other e-commerce brands, the sales shoot through the roof, and it's way bigger of a time period, but it's a very short time period. It's about 8 weeks of really ramped up activity across every single brand. And I think that's where AI for me becomes most advantageous, is how do we build good processes in the first 3 quarters of the year, so that when the fourth quarter comes around and we have a flood of orders and we're tired from the whole year, and we want to give people the time at the holidays to rest and recover and enjoy themselves and celebrate a good year. But hey, we've got to get customers these answers, and we got to make sure that they're happy and satisfied, and we'll know where their Christmas orders are at. And I think that's where, me looking ahead to this fourth quarter, I really want to leverage the power of AI to give customers the best experience possible, whether that's through chat or through email or through SMS. I think there's more and more tools now that can integrate almost in the background of your system, learn from you, be guided by you, but also have the opportunity to leverage your FAQs and policy sheets and customer history. Like, if you can feed all that information, and then the hours on the weekends or the hours between 8 a.m., 8 p.m., or even longer than that, you can have somebody helping you to, again, just improve the brand experience. I think with so many brands out there that are selling so many different products, a bad customer experience can lead to a customer never coming back to you. And especially in Q4, when there's so many customers that are shopping and trying out our brand, and that are willing to come to us for a promotion or because they heard from their friends about us, and then their wallets are open, it becomes even more crucial that our customer experience has the best opportunity to succeed. And AI allows us to do that without all the training, all the staffing, all the hiring in a very short window.
Got it. Yeah, I agree. And I think largely from uh, so from what you said, one, off peak hours, and two, uh, during the peak seasons, these two are great applications of AI
Mhm.
where it can actually help augment what issues the brand is actually tackling today. But I also wanted to touch upon, so this is something that we are seeing as a recent trend, that people are trying to augment their current workforce by dump proofing their customer support using AI. And I'll just explain what I mean. So what the brands are doing is that when their agents are answering the ticket, they use AI to recommend the right responses.
Yes. Yeah.
It fetches data. It will feed data. Once you feed data through your systems, and it just requires an SSO.
Hmm.
Once you do that, AI can actually recommend responses. So it ensures that there is no grammatical errors,
Yeah.
there's no spelling mistakes. If you The AI also reads your policy and can recommend the right policy given the ticket.
Hmm.
And that is also crucial because sometimes agents, when they're answering a ticket, they just have the top three or four policies at the top of their
Sure.
mind that they need to apply. But AI can does not discriminate. It can actually remember all the different policies, and given the nuance of the current issue type, it can recommend the policy. Of course, all of this comes with a caveat that it does have the tendency to hallucinate, which is why it is super important to club it with a human.
Yeah.
And that ensures that the human is vetting all the answers that the AI is giving, and it actually augments the customer service workflow. But even with this, what we're seeing is that up to about 80% of the effort involved in answering a ticket gets saved because the customer support workflow gets reduced.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, and that is one application that we're seeing about AI. And
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
I've seen a couple examples of that, and we haven't tried that out yet ourselves, but I do like that ability. I love that ability, especially in training, because if I bring somebody on that's new, they've never spoken to a Mugsy customer, we can spend a lot of time training that customer or that agent to understand the policies, like you said, weeks at a time that take away from answering tickets, but also bandwidth and training. I think that's another really powerful tool with AI is how do you get a new agent into your inbox and have them almost follow an AI tool where they're being shown tickets and getting a response that this is the way that it should be done. They can then learn that and spend a week not with another agent that's now not in the inbox, but with an AI tool to guide them through the training. Then they can go out on their own and say, hey, like this is how I should answer tickets based off of what I learned. And then almost have like a sidekick that's helping guide them and like, hey, this is what was great there. This is how you can improve. I think that's for anybody that's writing or trying to figure out ways to optimize what they're saying, how they're saying it in a different way. That's just a helpful tool to say like, hey, I wrote this. I don't know how that sounds. Let me run this through some AI and figure out, is there a more concise way that I could write this? Are there pieces that I could leave out? Are there words that I can leave out? But I do also, I caution the relationships that can be built and the tone of voice that can be heard when things aren't so grammatically correct and things aren't so buttoned up in the same. I think that's where the relationships are formed, and I think people are smart enough, although the AI is getting better. People are smart enough to see that, oh, this is a bot, this is not a person, and that's the opportunity for AI to continue to evolve. But I also think as humans, we want to talk to other people and we want to get to know somebody, even if it's through a relationship with a brand. So it's a balance. I think as we're continuing to learn how these things work and as we start to test them out, it'll come to show us that, hey, no, this can be possible and we can really train people and staff them up, or we can just let this thing run on its own. But I think training is another way that AI can really help. And the other thing I think about is reporting and analytics and recommendations and again kind of a sidekick for people managing what's going on with our customers and like what are the biggest issues they're having. As someone that's running tickets day to day and is in the minutia of problems, you might see 5 tickets in a row that are this issue, and that is an hour of time that feels like, wow, this is a really big issue we need to solve. Meanwhile, there's 5,000 tickets in the inbox, and that's only 5 that you saw, and there's only 7 others. So it's really not that big of a problem. And when you're so focused on individual interactions, problems can feel way bigger than if you zoom out and you say, hey, this is what's actually going on. Here's the 5 things that customers are asking us. That is, I think, where another opportunity for AI is to, tell me what's going on in my business, tell me where I have opportunities, and tell me where I'm not doing the best for customers, where I can improve. That I think is, there's a lot of self-service in reporting and analytics right now as it stands, but if AI can integrate with reporting to then give me a weekly or a daily download of like, hey, here's what you got to do, here's what happened, um, here's my recommendations. That I think is a huge unlock outside of the interactions for our customers, but like helping management to understand what do I need to do today, what's going on in the system, not from a person, but somebody that can quickly scan the entire landscape and then summarize data in a quick way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Training using AI is a great application, and also reporting using AI is a great application. AI can now understand language, and it can actually figure out what were the top shortcomings in the customer support messages responded to, or uh, what were some of the best moments and how to amplify them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that is another area that we're seeing big applications of AI coming in. With that, Mike, what do you think about customers? How do they see the balance between data privacy and the convenience that they get with AI?
Yeah, data privacy is definitely hard because I think everyone sees what information is out there in a different way. I think the fact that customers have to give, and I think this is generational. I think certain generations are fine to give all the information they have to technology and just say like, it's fine, deal with it, whatever. And then there's other customers that we see is like, hey, how'd you get my email address or how'd you get my phone number when like you placed an order with us that had your email and phone number? So and you selected yes that you could opt into marketing and everything. So yeah, I think there's it's evolving and learning as things are changing within data privacy, and um, we want to make sure that customers are safe, and that we partner with Shopify to make sure that like we're really not responsible for people's financial information. That is done through Shopify, and we can transact with them, but we're not withholding credit cards, and we're not storing those to then have to worry about getting hacked. But addresses and phone numbers are important because how many spam calls do you get from on your phone, or emails that are coming through the spam inbox, and we want to make sure that we are not intrusive in people's lives, and that we become a part of their lives, whether it's the clothing or the conversations that we're having. Um, and then they know that we keep their data safe. So we've definitely increased the amount of tools that we have to not only withhold information that we have in a safe way, but also to, hey, if you don't want us to have your information anymore, there's an easy way. There's a portal that you can go through. That's just a couple clicks, and then all your information in all our different channels is gone. It's definitely something that we're trying to stay ahead of as privacy laws change and as customers become more aware of how much information about them is out there. Um, and again, kind of goes back to like the art and science. You want to know about your customers so that you can understand them when they come to you, but you also don't want to expose too much information where it feels intrusive and it feels like a you know violation, let's say, of like how much you know about them.
Yeah, I love your point on this being an art and science in how you work with people and manage the customer expectation and still give them a delightful experience. All right. So we'll touch upon support metrics, and we talked about this when we were talking about AI, how AI can help measure things that are important. But what is important to you as you look at the key KPIs that make customer support functional, and not just functional, but what do you track as a North Star
Yeah,
to improve?
I think looking at directly at our customers, I look at CSAT as an easy way for us to understand like what feedback are we getting from customers that we've had relationships with in a good or a bad way, and how can we improve on that. So being able to understand how many fives, fours, and threes we got, and then what are the areas that we're getting twos and ones from that CSAT score. um, Above that, I try to look and see like how many people are actually answering our CSAT scores, because it can be skewed in a good way or a bad way if you're getting only a certain amount of responses. But I think CSAT is an easy way for us to give like a grade or a benchmark to every single conversation. And some of the stuff that you guys have done with Kim, where you can get an inferred CSAT based on the intent of the conversation and how that conversation went, what the outcome was, is crucial. One of the things that we do as a practice is if someone has a one or a two or even a three uh, feedback on their CSAT score, we try to reach back out to them and be like, hey, how can we improve your experience? Like, what can we do to save this relationship? So regardless of the score, like it seems like you didn't have a great experience. We want to get back to you and say, hey, like what can we do to help? How can we make this right? So CSAT probably number one. Two is speed. So I think CSAT is more of an art. Science is the speed, and customers want information fast, and self service and AI helps with that. But the longer someone has to wait for an answer, the more likely they are to be dissatisfied. So I try to make sure that our first response time, as well as our resolution time, is within a certain SLA, and that we can improve on those things, especially as we have higher volumes of tickets and our sales are growing. So inevitably tickets are growing. It's important that we're leveraging speed to make sure that customers are feeling good about us, especially if they have a question that is hard. And I think retention is a big piece of those metrics that's a little bit higher level. But product and brand are two ways that you can really leverage retention, and you're not so focused on building new customers every single day. Customer service is a huge part in retention because customers are willing to speak with you, and you want to give them more than just the product experience and the brand experience, but like, hey, here's an actual person that's from Mugsy that can give you a great experience. How do we leverage CSAT speed and our product to make sure the customers want to buy again from us? They want to get all the jeans that you can see behind me in different colors and different fits, in different products that aren't just jeans. We do tops, and we do shorts, and we want to make sure that as we're looking at our sales, that is another metric that I look at, that like ticket volume is kind of in line with sales, and it'll ebb and flow depending on the time of year. But if our volumes are way outpacing on tickets our sales, then something's going on where there's an issue within the experience that customers are asking more questions, or there's a carrier that has an issue. And for us to understand some of those things outside of like what's going on in the inbox, it's how do we solve problems so that there's not more tickets. um, I think those would probably be the best three metrics that I have. And then like different intents that customers have, what kinds of tickets are being created so that I can understand, is there something in our experience that needs to be tweaked? It's not necessarily a metric. It's more about like, what's the story within our given time period last week on the inbox? Like what happened? What were customers asking about? Does that reflect what's going on in marketing, or does that reflect another issue that we're seeing that we need to resolve? Um, I think those are probably the best three.
Got it. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And again, tying back to your core philosophy, how to use both art and science to understand customer experience, and I think that's super critical. If by just measuring CSAT, what do we do is important. That we are trying to find out what are some of the good experiences, and wherever there are bad experiences, go and make sure that you fix that experience with the customer. And like second point that you mentioned, that customer service is a huge tool of retention, and I used to debate this out with my previous company CEO that if you have a leaky funnel, even if you are like a $10 billion company, that is going
Oh,
to
yeah.
shrink very quickly.
Yeah.
And customer service is your last resort to prevent an angry customer
Mhm.
from leaving to a competition. And
Oh, yeah.
in today's, especially in today's world, competition is just a heartbeat away,
Yep.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So you need to absolutely be on top to make sure that you prevent an angry customer from just churning. And the best tool that you have is just customer support, and it is. And because people have this perception of customer support being a cost center,
Yep.
but they don't look at it as to how it actually increases the LTV of the customer,
Yeah.
because it actually drives higher and higher revenues. That people completely miss out this point, that if customer support is leading to good experiences and it is recovering any bad experience, it actually means that your revenue is going up. But because people think of it as cost, whenever there's downtime, they try to reduce their cost.
Yes.
But
Yep.
instead, they should actually look at how they can use tools. They can set up better systems, set up long-term systems,
Yeah.
but make sure that it is done with the objective of improving the customer experience and not just cost.
Sure. I kind of look at returns in the same way. I think both returns and customer service. If you were to ask me before my role with Mugsy, I would look at those as both like, oh, those are not good things within an experience. But if you can get somebody that's willing to interact with you a second time in the competitive landscape, like you're saying, you can get through a Facebook ad or some marketing that's catchy somebody to buy a product from you. Can you then get them, if they had a bad experience with shipping or they didn't get the product that they wanted or it doesn't fit the right way, can you get them to say, I'm willing to give you another shot and do a return and exchange? We have seen some data that's not easy, not the easiest to get, but we've figured it out that people that return and exchange with us are actually better customers in the long term. And the same with customer service. If somebody's willing to engage with us and we can spend more time with them than just that first order, the likelihood that they are a better customer is way higher. So I agree. I think the opportunity with AI and automation and just going back to using tools and technology is, how do we turn those what were once considered cost centers into more revenue opportunities? And as I'm trying to build out my team within customer service, I'm trying to think about, how do I leverage the AI tools and automation tools, and then take the people side of my customer service and turn that into almost like sales, where they're able to go out and reconnect with good customers and give them a personalized experience and build relationships, build LTV in the long term, and let the AI in the background help with the minute problems, the easy fixes, the quick answers, and then your customer service almost becomes your sales force and can build revenue and offset some of those costs. Same with returns. If we can make the experience super easy before somebody buys. We can get them in the right size the first time. If that doesn't happen for whatever reason, and we need to get them a new product, making that experience as quick and as easy as possible and incentivizing that experience over just getting a refund helps to build a revenue center instead of a cost center. So I think that's where the opportunity is with the AI and different brands like us is taking things that once were just cost and turning them into opportunities to build revenue and not just run your website and have the revenue come from that.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Mike. This has been a very insightful conversation. And my key takeaway from here is that customer support is both an art and a science, and learning from you.
Yeah.
Whether it is about how you handle customers where they are either in SMS or via email or with phone calls, or is it about using AI, and how do you really leverage AI to give a more empowering customer experience? And or is it whether it is about measuring the right metrics, and how do you really um, learn that insight from the science but leverage that insight, and that how do you use that insight is an art in itself. And I think that is one of the key takeaway through this conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed this, Mike, and thank you so much for taking the time, and thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sachin. Appreciate you helping us out at Mugsy, and we're excited to continue to evolve and grow.
Awesome.